Welcome back to the channel, guys. Tool reviews of tools I use. Today I'm going to take you through my basic painting setup. Whether you're a homeowner or whether you're looking to get into the trade of painting and decorating, you'll find these tools will be of real use to you. I'll take you through Purdy tools here. I keep a nice Purdy pole. This one goes up to about 4 foot. If you're only going to buy one pole, I strongly advise this to be the first one. This is really useful. It covers most bases. You can paint ceilings with it, you can paint walls, you can get a little bit of distance with this. This will do a lot for you. Purdy poles are really nice. They've got this sort of trigger mechanism. They just slide really easy. You can even just drop them out when you press that trigger and it just locks into place automatically. And you've also got this nice little locking feature just here. The good thing about this locking feature, or should I say the thread on the end, is that I can use non-Purdy rollers with no problem whatsoever. They just screw on as normal, just to a standard fitment there. But I can also use, obviously, the Purdy range in the same manner, but just a whole lot easier. Instead of having to screw it on, I just click that down, give it a push, give it a shove, and it clips on nicely. It's not going anywhere, it can't turn or anything, and it is locked into place. So the Purdy rollers are absolutely fantastic as well. Lovely comfortable handles on them. Yeah, this locking mechanism, sometimes it can be a little bit trickier to get the rollers off, but it's not too bad. I really do rate these poles though. This is a Harris pole. Compared to the Purdys, it doesn't even compare. But if you're on a bit of a budget, I'd recommend this. These have been around for years, and for good reason. They're just good to use. This one here, 2 foot. Really recommend because of the ergonomics of this. It's only a 2 foot roller, so when you drop it down to full extension, it's just enough to reach into a roller tray that's on the floor and save you having to bend down, save you having to stretch or anything like that. And that's what a lot of this stuff is. It's about good ergonomics so that you don't end up injuring yourself or giving yourself RSI injuries, anything like that. It just makes sense, and it's just a better working practice to use good quality tools like this. Carry this long pole here. I appreciate you can't see the full length of it in the video, but this pole will go all the way up to about 12 foot. So you've got 12 foot plus your own height, plus the roller. That will paint pretty much any house, at least in the UK, any standard house. Really easy. The rollers, the roller handles themselves, they keep a nice little selection. So I've got ones like these radiator ones. This is a really long radiator one. This will get me down the back of radiators. I use them for getting around the back of furniture. Sometimes the homeowner doesn't necessarily want to move all of their furniture. Sometimes they have to leave things in place. So little rollers like this will get you into tight spots, get you out of trouble. And I keep these little this Purdy as well. This one's just good for window reveals and things. And this is a cheaper one. If you notice, the Purdy rollers there, they have their own roller sleeve cage. This thing sits on it and it can't come off or anything. It's all fitted to it. I ended up removing it because they only take Purdy fitments. Now the Purdy rollers sleeves are really good. They hold a lot of paint, but the problem you've got, sometimes shops don't stock them. So you could be in a hurry to go and get one of these sleeves and you just can't find it. So I basically modified this Purdy here by taking off the yellow cage that you saw on that other thin one, and now it fits the standard rollers that you can get that are about that sort of size, and they just slide on really nicely. I also had to cut a tiny little bit off the end in order to make it work, but it just gives me a whole lot of options between this, and the ability to use 2 different roller sleeves. Gives me some good options there. Why don't I use this one? Because as nice as this is, the Purdy handle I just find really comfortable. They've really done a good job with it. It's not too fat. It's got a good contour. Really comfortable. The other Purdy rollers, or the main one that you see there, again, really good. Nice thick aluminium bar going through it, which basically limits the stiffness. You don't the more stiffness that you've got with your roller handle, the easier it's going to be to paint. The smoother the finish, everything. It's just so much better. So that's why you've got to pay a little bit more for these tools. There's a real tendency for homeowners, especially, to go and buy cheap tools when they start painting, with a view to throwing them away and just disposing of them. You think how many times you're going to do that in your lifetime? It's just a real false economy. It really pays to get good quality tools, and then they'll last you for life. This particular roller handle is made by Prodec. Another good roller handle. I personally prefer the Purdy because it's just a little bit shorter, so there's less leverage on the wrist. I find it a little bit more comfortable. But I do like having two styles of roller sleeve, because some of the times when I cover a paint tray up, all I've got is the handle poking out the end of it, and I can see, if I'm working with two different colours of paint or whatever, I can see exactly which one's which. I know which one's which because of the handle that's sticking out. So it's just a way that I work. We've all got our little methods, but these are another good brand if you need a roller handle. Really pays to get good quality roller sleeves as well. For the trays that you see at the back there, these ones are made by Sims. They are another really good labour saving device. So these aluminium ones, you can see they're starting to develop a tiny bit of rust. Sorry, there must be a pressed steel, sorry. Tiny little bit of rust there, but they are fantastic. If you look at the cheap ones that people are often working out of, the cheap kind of plastic ones, sometimes they might even come with rollers and paintbrushes and all the rest of it. It's a real false economy. You end up working twice as hard. You're constantly refilling those tiny paint trays. They don't hold much paint at all. Something like this has got a really deep well. It's wide enough to accommodate quite a few different roller sizes. These are fantastic. And the fact that you can buy these sleeves, just peel them off and throw them away if you need to. These are really strong, these sleeves as well, so you can get plenty of use out of them before you throw them away. They're a real labour saving device. Fantastic. I wouldn't be without these now. Always keep a nice little selection of brushes. I've got a separate box that I keep all my nice brushes in. These are just here for example. You won't go wrong with a 3-inch brush for a lot of painting work. 2.5-inch brush and smaller. Get all of those sort of sizes. Have a good selection. You'll need them. Keep a good quality cork gun. This one's made by Cox, which I believe is a British brand. I could be wrong there. There are cheap imitations of these, and they just don't work anywhere near as good. These work year after year. They're not the nicest looking ones. They're pretty ugly, but they are just lightweight, so they're easy to work with. A lot of the time when you're corking, you might be working one-handed, and this is just what you want on the end. The ones with the great big cages can often be a little bit heavy and cumbersome. This is the longer variety, so it accommodates both sort of the standard size cartridges that you can buy. So I really recommend getting some good ones of these. I don't tend to keep these in my toolbox because they're just a little bit too bulky. I tend to keep these in the van. One of these sanding pads on a swivel. Really recommend these for your preparation work. You can just screw them onto a pole. And it runs around the walls, ceilings, anything that you want to flatten down. Even if your wall doesn't need a whole lot of sanding, you haven't done much filling or something like that, it's really worth just running a really fine sandpaper over it and just taking down all the little high points. The finish will look miles better by the end of it. So one of these things, almost essential. Again, it saves you doing a lot of bending over and stretching and all the rest of it. If you can just put this on a pole and use it, so convenient. And it's got the added benefit that it's actually quite comfortable to use as a hand tool itself. So you can just slip it like so in your hand, and it works really well. It's not as uncomfortable as it looks. It really does work. So you notice I've got a bucket here. A bucket is just, what does it cost? £1, $1, whatever. They're really cheap, but straight away, as soon as I start a painting job, I'm putting a little bit of water in the bottom of this, and I've got a cloth, and that's just for any little cleaning tools, any paint mishaps, anything like that. It's really useful. But you can also use it for hanging tools. If you're working up a ladder, then something like this, which you can stick, the long bit that I'm holding, you can stick that through the rung of the ladder, and the little bend in it combined with that little plastic bit on the end basically puts tension on it and holds it stiff into the rung so it doesn't go anywhere. And you just hang your bucket, so you can hang tools and things in there. It's just a really, really cheap, convenient way of just taking stuff up with you so that you don't have to keep going up and down a ladder. You can hang paint cans off it, you name it. It's absolutely brilliant. And you can hold multiple items in there. So both really, really handy. Get yourself buckets, get yourself cloths. You'll need them. You'll notice I've got a whole load of dust sheets on here. This isn't the whole collection I've got. You'll need a lot more than this if you're working on houses, buildings. But I've got large ones that will cover the floor of a whole room. But sometimes you haven't got that luxury to work with just one big sheet. Sometimes you have to make sheets going round things. Sometimes you have to cover furniture up. So really get yourself a load of them. You'll see the one that's rolled up on the left there. The reason I've rolled it up like that is because that's the one that I use on stairwells. So it comes in at about, let me have a look, about 3 foot. Yeah, about 3 foot wide. But it's super long. It'll go all the way down a stairwell, or it can even work around furniture. If I have to, I can put it round and make a little kind of path for myself. Really, really handy for that. So yeah, that's all my painting tools. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe. There'll be a lot more painting videos coming along in the future. I've got a whole lot more stuff to show you. And I'll see you next time.